Hey everybody, this is Josh with Gamers Haven. This is video 2 on our Siege of Vraks trench board, doing some base colors and some color testing. So what we've got today is just some quick airbrushing, a little bit of dry brushing, some of these trench boards. So you can see here I've got some Vallejo Cold Gray using their pre-mixed air paint, pushing it through my Vallejo HPCS, thinned down a little bit. The intent here is, in the fluff you hear about ferrocrete and rockcrete, which I assume to be something concrete-like. And Vallejo Cold Gray I've really enjoyed using. It's got a hint of blue, but it's a nice cool gray. It goes on really nice. I've used it in a lot of different terrain and buildings and stuff. And here doing kind of some test colors, I want to see how it would look on the actual trench walls and what kind of in my head canon makes sense for this, 40,000 or 30,000 era concrete. So here I'm doing a couple different layers, kind of building up the colors. Again, I'm not masking it. We're going to kind of build it up to be higher or more saturated in what I think would get most light, and then kind of desaturate it as it gets closer to the what I think is going to be the steel or iron or kind of the metallic bits that'll come on in dry brush. And because I'm going to do a whole bunch of these, dozens of them for this terrain board, I'm going to paint the whole set of them kind of piecemeal like this after I decide on kind of the color scheme. And here I am just going to build the colors up a little bit, kind of making sure that it's got enough color, but there's still some shadows. And again, we want to show that there's depth in here. Although we want the terrain to look good, and we don't want to distract the models too much. And again, it's going to be, these trenches. So here we're just building up the grays, kind of picking out what I think is, kind of the concrete or ferrocrete, whatever, that's been poured or cast and slapped down, or however they build these things, and the far future where there's only war. Again, just kind of going slowly, building up the colors a little bit. I'm not going to mask it off. I've got so many of these dang things, and with the airbrush, it really enables me to build up the colors where I want to build them up, to kind of get this effect. And again, I want to kind of get the edges here. So when I lay these down, there's not kind of like a black chunk of primed resin sitting here. We're going to have a whole bunch of these as well. So this is really just the first step. And then, at the end of these are going to end up getting weathered and everything else. So this is really just doing kind of that first color test and kind of getting the base color down. And as we're going through here, I'm liking the cold gray more and more, as opposed to, say, using like a warmer color gray, or maybe like a kind of tannish, something with more brown in it. And in my mind for the Siege of Vraks, that the ground is kind of darker, more ashen, and because I love 30K, I also think about Isfahan and what it would look like to assault the walls in Isfahan. So the gray concrete, I think, is what we're going to stick with here. But yeah, in a minute we'll move on to the dry brushing. So here I'm kind of debating, should I paint these bases with the cold gray? Should I go with like a brown, just highlight with metallic? And the more I thought about it, the more I looked at it, the more I decided that, it definitely made sense to have these kind of, ferrocrete pads with metal surrounds and kind of some metal supports. And so I'm just going to go ahead and airbrush them again, hitting with the cold gray, kind of building it up, not masking anything. We're going to go over and highlight this whole dang thing, and then do a whole bunch of washes and make it kind of muddy and gritty and nasty. I'm just trying to get like the base layers down as it would be these kind of cast chunks of concrete with some metal supports and surrounds and stuff that will we'll hit when we go through and dry brush this thing. But I think it really ties the base with the walls together nicely. All right, so we are back and do some dry brushing. So this is Vallejo Game Color Gunmetal. It's a great metallic. Just putting my wet palette here, not thinning it down because we're going to dry brush it anyways, so I'm not super concerned about that. And you can see I airbrushed the base as well, of course. So just using my kind of small GW dry brush, and I'm going to go through and hit kind of all the metallics with this kind of gunmetal, darker metallic silver. That's just a really fantastic color from Vallejo. If you're using GW, the iron belcher or lead belcher, whatever it is another great one. I'm partial to Vallejo paints because it's really easy to get them. I don't spill them as much, and I like the ability to buy the same paint and get it in both kind of concentrated format as well as air paint, and that just makes my life a lot easier. So again, not being super careful here. There's going to be some bits and bobs where I kind of go over, and that's fine. It's dry brushed, it's ferrocrete, it's going to get weathered way down, but really just doing a proof of concept on the colors, making sure these two colors go together with this model the way I want them to look, even before weathering and doing a whole bunch of washes and stuff. But really, the intent here is just to see, like, is this the color scheme I want to go with? If so, great. If not, I need to kind of investigate some other color schemes. Whether it's metallics, whether it's an alternate to the cold gray. If I need to do some more highlights, how does this start to look when you pick out those details? Again, because these STLs are really beautifully made. The details are fantastic on them. Intershell trenches, they did a heck of a job building these things. And Justin, a little bit, sorry. Again, I'm not a streamer, full disclosure. This is my first time kind of showing any sort of painting stuff. Pretty basic setup with a basic tripod, but you kind of get the gist of what we're doing here. And we kind of build these grays. And then here in a sec, we'll transition over and show you some of the kind of semi-finished products after I glue these pieces together to give you better of how they look together. So here we are after brushing up the grays and bringing up some of those kind of little connector plates. You can see I had a little bit of mistakes here and there, but overall it came out pretty good. Yeah, so that was kind of this a quick update. We're almost done printing. I've got 50-something sides, dozens of bases, the junctions and the walls. We've got ends, we have fortified, little finding positions, all sorts of cool stuff going. But the next video will show more of a full layout of what we're doing. We'll start cutting some foam, and we'll start gluing it to the plywood and keep it going forward. So thanks again for checking out, and let me know if you have any questions.